sub, but it's gonna be hard to do. He was just picked up. He barely has anything to work with here. Can he manage to pop his heals? And look, they're gonna completely reset. P-God and company. They get the full finishes. They're gonna go ahead and save sub, but it's gonna be hard to have the full pickup here. There goes the punishment shots. Zembo, a little too long to take his shots back to fight back, and should be all over now. And remember, this now, look at this. This puts them at 121. They are 123 now, right? They are over the threshold of Bucky, Creo, and Clicks there. This could still be their game, right? Their qualifying run. Let's not forget, like we talked about that momentum, playing really, really well. They have really been consistent with these top 10s.
They have been, and right now picking up 3 eliminations. They have the launch pad, they have the heals, they have the slurp cannon out of that too. Like that's the makings of a top 5 game. You know, what we want to see from them now is making sure they get their rotations on point, like Tabs G, Teo, and Place. They're already on the way. They've got fantastic loot too, right? 150 builds, almost cap mats. You have good ammo, heals, launch pad. This is also looking like a good game for them too. So all of the teams who are basically in contention for that next qualifying slot, the 3rd place overall, are looking strong this game. They're all set up for endgame. They're making their good rotations. They have that loot that they need to. Not a single one of them have looked scuffed on their loot yet, and this is good. But I do worry if Tabs has the enough Storm Surge, and as he went for that snipe, that was actually onto P-God's team. So I wonder if they, well, they probably don't, but I'm gonna say I wonder if they know which team they're taking shots at. The team that's very, very close to them on the leaderboard.
Yep, definitely. They're so close here. Tabs, G, Teo, and Pledge still trying to just make best with this positioning, though. Where are they going to choose to base up and hunker down? First, though, pit stop for some good loot. Blue pumps.
Those weapon-o-mags are great. If you see one of those that has a pump in it, in particular, you'll always spawn with enough gold to be able to pick it up, right? It's under 50 gold to be able to pick up any blue weapon from those. And if you drive past one that has a pump in it in the weapon-o-mag, that's instant blue pump for your entire team. So that's so good. In particular, if you have any of these in your looting path, in your POI, or if your rotation path in your mid-game, like Teo's team has right here, 100% worth just to keep an eye out if they have a pump in them.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go ahead and watch this one out here. Still on the move right now. Into the water they go. And quick turn right now as they sense more danger up above. And this is when the tension is really, really high right now. The pressure is on them just to stay alive, avoid all this conflict here, make it to new zone. They're going to make another stop here for, again, more of the loot. Of course, the vending machines that are available and everything in between. They find themselves the tire upgrades here. So this is all a part of the plan. They lost the tire, fixed the tire. You love that. You don't really see that very often. And off they go.
I know. Like I already mentioned, they're crazy placements, right? We already said that 2 games off spawn that they were 33rd, almost as bad as it could be. Then a 3rd and a 1st in there with double-digit eliminations. This could be a huge run for them so far. So it's the last game opportunity for them. But Clicks, Creo, and Bucky pretty much had exactly the same run as that too. So like we already mentioned, the 2 teams who have a ton of momentum built up, already in a good spot. Although I will say that they do not have the big pots. You saw that Clicks was sitting down there weak, and you see in Bucky's inventory that he has 12 minis to his name. So unfortunately, they're not going to be able to keep themselves up to 200 HP, which will be a massive detriment for the rest of their game. And the Storm Surge position that they're setting themselves up on is not very good. I'm not going to lie, because this hill is fully dead side, and with them already having some eliminations, they may be okay with in terms of the amount of Storm Surge that they have, but they're not going to get that many tags from here because players aren't going to rotate past them. Maybe that's the play, but I just want to ensure they have enough Storm Surge. With only 62 players remaining in this game, because players have been a little bit more aggressive, they're not going to need to worry about it as much, but I hope that they've got enough when it comes to moving zones.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, the best other thing they can do is what Bucky's trying to do right now, right? Entice the other team. Hey, go for the peek. What's up? Do you want to shoot at each other? Right? Like I dare you to kind of peek us here to see if you can open up with that snipe shot. You see Creo and Clicks just waiting, right? Like, yeah, if they peek, man, we'll take a pop right here. And look, they're trying to bait them out. Nothing though, but you're absolutely correct. This side of the zone is so difficult to find tags. I mean, remember in that game 1 when we saw the zone reveal itself, there wasn't a single team on dead side because of how important it is just to move into the action so that you're not a victim to the surge.
It's true.
Last game.
And
I was just gonna say the last game is always notoriously the lightest, right? As far as the lobby count, they're gonna be the most aggressive. So there's always that to think about.
Yeah, you don't need much Storm Surge in terms of this earlier rotation, but what usually happens is these players get aggressive earlier on, and then it slows down, right? Since we started talking about it, more players are actually back in the game. When I started, there was 61 players. Now we're up to 62. People are getting rebooted. Players have got their tags, and they've been aggressive. They're set up in a good place, but not everyone. This is our first versus our second team here. They're not in a full engagement, but they are positioned very, very close next to each other. Nut, Iomzo, and Chucky sitting next to Booga, Avery, and Nosh in the power position. Maybe this is the best spot on the map, given the best two teams currently right now are situated basically right next to each other. It's a good spot for Surge, but at the same time, we've already mentioned they don't need to worry about it as much for Surge here. So fingers crossed for the rotates coming onto these next zones when they do appear.
I'm curious to see if Booga and crew have caught any kind of elimination so far. In Nosh and Avery, we saw them getting very active. They were basically playing pretty flashy plays, you know, in the last game when we knew that they didn't have to take any of those battles at the sweaty, and they still decided to, right? They even tried their hand at high ground. So yeah, Nut, Iomzo, and Chucky, I mean, they've earned themselves 5 points just off the placement points so far. None for the Elims. Trying to change that here, though. What can they do? And this is risky of them, too. They're just sitting very out in the open, like, exposed on the sides here. Here comes the edit. They're going to jump in on someone, I think, here.
I think they're going to hit the rotate. I think they realize there's too many teams around them. If you look at the map, there's so many there, and they're just going to make the play to rotate a little bit earlier to get ahead, just similar to what we saw the teams do earlier. I think it was Bizzle's team that we saw do earlier. Just get a little bit ahead of the storm so that they can hold any of the players behind them if the zone pulls far, which of course it does. It's a fully east zone, which usually means the next zone is going to pull further east as well. And all these teams have got a tough rotate. You can see the triangles moving very, very quick, which to me sounds like, yes, they're padding out of the sky, which is very difficult to do. You're going to get tagged big time, but so does Teo from a third party coming in. Not only the players who are launch padding who are getting eyes on them, but it's going to be Teo too.
I was going to say, aside from the stat on screen, there's 23 Elims in the last two games, the most of any trio. They were like near dead last as well. But the last two games, there are 23 Elims. Their high placing round, that third place they snagged in before the last game, like that was enough to put them at 129 points coming into the last game. Can you imagine having basically 4 just terrible games, really not playing up to snuff, and then all of a sudden you just pop off, right? Game 4, game 5, and then you come into this last round with a true fighting chance for top 3. That's the comeback story that we might be watching unfold here, and it just shows that anything is possible, right, Reese? I mean, these players, we always see this happen here. It happened on EU as well. It's consistent, but wait a second. That was a shield crack. Got to be careful now.
They do have the Slurp Cannon, they do have plenty of minis, plenty of heals left. They're going to be able to use them up fine. I think, although the shield was cracked, they got themselves into a good spot, and they're still fine. They're still looking good so far. They can continue to play this out. But Cabernet, an ex-teammate of these two, has actually mentioned that apparently, of the 3 qualifiers, only Teo can play week number 1. So if Teo doesn't manage to qualify through this week, he may not be able to play any of the future weeks at all. So this makes the stakes even higher for this team, so they have to make a top 3 today.
My gosh, there's always something new popping up. You never really know.
There is.
This guy's trying to put it all on the he's playing Fortnite on extreme difficulty mode right now. looking at qual with only 1 shot. They're there too, like they're so close. I mean, it really comes down to whether or not I'd say the other team had the Elims, though, like whether or not DGNH and Skittles are picking up eliminations, because if they aren't, well, everyone here is basically getting the same exact placement point. So, you know, the striking distance is going to happen. It's going to come down to who survives the longest.
It's true. And remember when we were looking earlier at I want to call them Cleos. It just makes rolls off the tongue easier. Of clicks, we've got Bucky as well. The teams are too hard to name, and Creo as well. When we mentioned them before, there were 62 players remaining. We're only at 60 now, so this is exactly what I've said happened. The players were aggressive at the start. They went for those early eliminations. They got themselves set up with good loot, and now they've just slowed down. And that's exactly what's happened. 60 players still remaining. Only 3 have been fully eliminated, and basically it lasts like 5 to 6 minutes. But this next storm is unrelenting. Look at how many players are not in the storm. We know the Clix' team was to that south, and they actually positioned themselves fantastically edge map and will have pulled this zone, so they are in a really good position. Basically, every other team is not in the storm right now, and they have to make this long rotate. For guys like Aegis, Skittles, and DJN, they may have to use a launch pad this early, because you can see already Aegis down to 89 builds, and if they start having to waste ones to get in, it's going to be pretty much over for them. So someone from this side of zone is definitely going to have to use a launch pad, and because they're one of the highest, it may have to be them.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And you saw Teo and crew just parked up right there as well. They're all part of that same dilemma. Avery, Booga, and Nosh, though, the team that should be walking home with this whole thing, they get a virtually free, real free rotate right there. Avery leads the charge. Beautifully done. Up come Nosh and Booga. They're big vibing. Out is the rotate from everyone else, though. You can see the map just starting to get moving here. Fight's going to break out, though. Avery, Booga, and Nosh just trying to see what they can find. Remember, this next surge is probably going to happen if the zone closes here. $50 or so, things are going to start closing. There it is. That's the warning there.
It's a warning indeed, and that's what all the players...
Smacked have height.
That's it. They've got a good spot. They managed to get themselves a good spot, but I'm not sure that zone's fully in yet, so they're going to have to tunnel in a little bit further if my memory serves me correct. Yes, they are going to have to move in further, and they're going to have to get on top of where Booga's team was that we just saw from there. But Booga's team didn't look like they were trying to hold height at all, because obviously they were being pressured down below, and this is that full other side of the zone where we see Clix, Kreo, and Bucky on that high ground position. And if they pull that zone, they are looking really, really good, and it's going to be a tough zone for everyone else, because remember, this dips really far into where the grotto used to be there. That's a large hill where everyone's situated, where they have to go down and then back up to another one. So the players without launch pads are going to get a really, really tough rotate. So 13 seconds to see what is ultimately one of the most difficult parts of the game, that 50-50 rotate to the 5th zone. And if there's any big launch pad, this is going to be tough. But moving over, Tabs G has been knocked, along with Teo still remaining with almost no materials, just getting dropped to 26 builds now, as Pledge tries to do anything that he can to keep his teammates left in it and trying to get the refresh back up onto Tabs.
He's going to get it too, and they're going to have the chug cannon as well to bounce back here. The pressure coming in from below, but it's not going to be enough to take him out here. At a short moment's glance, though, that was almost all over as he opens up the box there, and the shots come in. No hesitation from the lobby here. This surge is actually active at the moment. Wonder if it's already closed out, but Cold Riley's still in this game too. Cold... Hey, listen, Cold Elite and Crypt, I mean, they were the next team outside of their inside top 8. They're still up, so just keep that in the back of your mind as we start watching these teams. But so far, Kreo, Bucky, and Clix are in the best position so far. Not only have they had the mountain, not only did they pull the zone, it lands pretty much on top of them once again, but they also had 3 elims already, effectively closing that gap up to DJN, Aegis, and Skittles, which is the most important thing about this endgame right here. It's not just about surviving or out-positioning and placing your opponents. It's getting the elims, man. You really have to get those extra points, because it was a close competition, a nail-biting, close as far as the score goes, but at the end of the day, someone's going to walk away with it, and it's really going to come down to who picks up more elims.
Will be indeed. Tabs has managed to launch pad, but they've actually lost Teo, and they have barely any materials left in their name, and it's all wood. And this, you've got to think, unless he managed to pick up a big headshot snipe here, this could be over for him. But a 105 body shot comes out, and there's all that loot down there, and Tabs will need this. Did he get pressure above? But no, he is picked up 2, leaving Pledge alone as a solo with barely any materials left to his name. He manages to get, I think, the siphon materials left from the 2 bodies there, but now he's also going to be pressured. Yes, with 70 builds remaining, he is tagged up literally 1 HP and a dream, but don't go into storm. No, but he gets picked up from, I think that was Blake from a third party, and that's the run over for them. The dream run looked like it was going to happen, but unfortunately, we're going to have to see what DJN, Aegis, or Skittles can do, or Kreo, Bucky, and Canada, or some of the other teams who are also very close to that 3rd position.
Other teams still alive right now. They can take this here is Kreo, Bucky, Clix, Redux, Twix, and Chubbs. Possible P-God, Peterbot, K, and of course Cold Rider, Elite, and Crypt that you saw down in that low ground. For Iamzo, Chucky, and Nut, they punched their way through. They have absolutely punched their ticket. We know Nosh, Booga, and Avery have as well. So for them to continue to play exceptional right now, I mean, they're looking to see if they can just take home the 1st place spot, which is not completely out of the question. But DJN, Aegis, and Skittles, can they hold on to that 3rd place spot? I mean, they've tasted the top of the mountains, right? They have been up at the top. They've been there before. Clix and Creo are here though. They've lost Bucky.
They've lost Bucky, but also DJ's team had lost below Storm Surge with barely any materials left alive. So both teams right now who are fighting for it are 2 points difference between each other with not the best positioning either. So Clix using the majority of his hard mats in terms of the metal to get across, but trying to put that pressure onto the teams in wood right next to him as he knows that these guys are weak. But no, there's a trio in the back of his tarp and he's trying to do anything he can to get outside of that. There's a player inside of his box and no, he falls all the way down to complete low ground. So he's split from his teammate. He's doing anything he can to get all the way back up to Creo and he's managed to get himself solidified into a box. But that's a lot of materials used right now and he's still leaving Creo up by himself and trying to player goes through the zip line into the box too and he finally managed to get himself a little bit of peace. But no, another player as well.
Oh, he's got to be so careful here. Clix now just caught in a frenzy here of the builds. Luckily, he is going to be able to sneak on out. And this is just something that only someone as mechanically gifted as Clix would be able to get away with. A normal player would have gotten taken out a long time ago. But it's that exceptional mechanical skill, that practice of just playing in the playground, right? Doing all the box fights that allows him to stay ahead of the competition. He's even going to find a knock right there. And DGen Ages and Skittles still alive here in that mid ground. They are still in the game right now. They're actually finding a several set of Elans. That's onto Peterbot. That's the competition. That's some of the big competition. They needed to take down Peterbot, TK, and P-God. But remember, it was only a knock. It's not all over just yet. But no, the shots from up above. DGen at 15 HP. Aegis finds the Siphon. He's still alive here. This is getting closer and closer now, Reese. I mean, they're not completely safe just yet.
One build to his name, no shotgun in the inventory, purely just going with that SMG right now. He has so many heals, but he's deciding not to pop any to just see if he can get back together with his teammate, and that's what he seems to be able to do. Clix and Creo still in this game as well. 157 points currently on Aegis, but DGen has been unfortunately picked up, but the player gets a cone in the box. He hits a big 102 shot, and he's trying to go back for the trade. He's trying to pressure that player back in the storm, but he has a ramp peak, and yes, he manages to pick up the elimination. That's him up to 161 points. Not only that, he's got 2 chug cannons, so he can sit in the back of Storm and take any heals that he possibly can to stay any seconds. He has some builds remaining, but he's getting pressured from the front of zone. But no, he's picked up 161 points.
Is it going to be enough here as we start to conclude and round out this final fight here? And now Demon, Nets, and Nick managed to take high ground here. 11 eliminations with a monstrous effort to rocket their way back up the standings and pull home as much series points as possible here into the final game of the FNCS qualifiers week 1. This is it. This is game number 6 on the low ground though. We talked about Bowcut, Tyler, River, and Danny at the start here. When they have gotten and broken loose from their drop spot, they have managed to do exceptional things, and nothing short now of exceptional here. Just take a picture. It might last longer because Bowcut, Tyler, and River are looking to close this one up right now. It's now a 2v2 situation. They bring them down to low ground. Nick goes down, and Bowcut, Tyler hits all the shots that matters most, and that's a 12th elimination victory royale.
Aspects trio find themselves up there, but as you can see here, Adam, you are getting your answer here. Wow. This is the 3 trios going through the finals, and oh my gosh, Nut, Yamzo, and Chucky actually overtake Naj, Abuka, and Avery somehow, some way, and they end on 190 points with our 3rd team going through being DGen, Aegis, and Skittles. Adam, you got it right.
I am absolutely beaming.
Using his first stacked custom set lobby tournament hasn't worked out so well for the EU counterparts, but we'll see for NA East. But look, Monster, game number 1, FNCS for season 7 is ready and rock and roll.
It's about to happen right here, right now. Who will take home the crown for the week 1 qualifier? Will our top 3 teams be solidified here and now? We'll find out if it's going to be the vets or the newbies, because right now we're kicking off with what I'd say is the new fold becoming the vets now. It's Creo, Bucky, and Clix. They've been here for the longest. They've been around town for now, basically as good as anyone else. And they're at the top of their game here. This is a superstar trio, right? All of which have had exceptional amounts of just history, competitive history at that, and now pairing up with one another. I mean, Vivid said it best. Clix being added to this trio here is literally them finding that firepower, and now this has the flair a trio needs.
Yeah, that flair, but on top of that, you got to remember, Creo and Bucky have played together in multiple seasons, going back to Chapter 2 Season 3 and Chapter 2 Season 4 as well, right? So they've played together in duos, actually, Chapter to Season 2 as well. So these guys have performed, they have the chemistry, they know exactly how to play together, they have practiced it too, and you slot Clicks on, a player who, you know, when we look back through multiple teams, he's blended well with many teams, but in particular, like, I feel like he's not managed to find that one, right? That's just clicked, you know, should I say, will I make the pun, the click and clicks play, but, you know, he's not managed to fit it completely perfectly right. But with this team, when I watch their gameplay, it seems fresh, right? It seems good, it seems solidified, it seems like they have a game plan and they're executing that every single match. You know, you see some of these teams who are coming out and they look good, they perform, but they don't have that solidified game plan that looks consistent game to game. These guys just seem on point every single match.
We'll talk about solidified teams, duos, and trios. Mega, Dubs, and Rokane are on the low ground here up against the New Blood. N-Pen polarized up above. Dubs, Rokane, and Mega playing the textbook hold here, just trying to get their material count together. And you can tell the Bony Burbs, this is a fight that has happened season after season. If anything, I believe they were contested last time here as well, possibly to a different trio, but now it's like deja vu all over again. These guys are here to fight it out once again. Dubs and Mega do it really... I'd say they have a great track record of surviving the drop, but unfortunately, we all know what happens when you're contested in these early games. These are tough fights to win, but more importantly, bounce back from all the time that you lose out on. Rokane's going to be the first to go down there. It's that low ground peak, right, Reese? It's hard to win those.
It's hard to win those indeed when Mega and Dubs are the ones being inside of the building, getting pressured on until it's hard to kind of come back from that. Mega's doing a great job trying to gild up, trying to get up into that high ground, trying to be the one that's applying the pressure, but with Rokane already down, already lost, it's going to be tough as you see the pressure comes in from the SMGs onto the wall. He's down to 102 HP. That pressure is unlimited, unrelenting right now, only on 18 builds remaining, and he's just trying to do whatever he can. As Dubs has actually managed to pick up the res on Rokane, he's now going to be under the stairs, managed to pop these minis, and this could be the kind of clutch moment, him running out there, then managing to pick up Rokane, that they need to actually win this 3v3 fight, but this far from over.
Hey, you got to take risks to come out on top, and that was a mega risk coming out of the player of Mega there. And all of a sudden now Mega's got to go ahead and put the rest of the team on his back here, because there's going to be some more clutch up needed here. I mean, it's looking pretty rough for them. N-Pen, Polarized, and Oscar burning through their ammunition quickly here. You just hear them non-stop firing shots. That pulse rifle there off in the distance. I mean, it has the firepower, but remember, this early in the game, they're not going to have that much ammo, so I'm sure they're running on low fumes here. I mean, look, you can even tell Mega here barely has any tactical ammunition to work with as well, so for him, it's about connecting with all these bullets here.
About connecting. This is a very Zayt-esque flank, trying to move on out, trying to get an angle while the other teams are applying pressure. But again, they've not managed to really do too much after they got the heals and the res off. Ost, Polarized, and N-Pen still are in the commanding position here with plenty more HP to their name, but Mega's trying to get a nice little right-hand peek off. He hits the 60 tag as well. That's going to trade back nicely, but he might be going too far into the open, but no, he manages to pick up the first knock in the fight too, and ultimately the finish 2 goes down onto N-Pen. So now this is 3v2, but in the background, Rokane and Dubs have also been picked up now. Mega all the way down. Sorry, Rokane is down to actually 1 HP remaining. It looked so little that he was down. He's got the med kit off now. Mega is going to be finished. Dubs has been finished. So it's down to Rokane only. With a great tack, 20 builds, this could be the play of his life.
I mean, I do wonder if the call out was made there. He was shooken down, and no, kept saying a big tag there, huge tag. Not going to be enough to win that fight out, unfortunately, as now things are going to completely reset. Osp, N-Pen, and Polarized come out on top. You see from the loadout, it wasn't even a phenomenal loadout by any means. It was just enough to win the fight. And all of a sudden, Mikey, AV, and Zuni's sitting nearby, listening ever so closely. They can see all the old builds here. Their decision to take this fight is highly likely here at this point. I mean, they need the tags. We all know Storm Surge is going to be an issue, so it's at the very least going to be a fight that they want to go for these tags on. Os doesn't get shield cracked at all, so it's enough to at least keep him up. N-Pen's not in this game, though, so they read that in the feed, and they realize or recognize this is a 2v1 situation. N-Pen gets picked up from the side there, but Blake rolls in too, and we have another trio rolling up. It is not looking good for anyone here at the Bony Burbs. I mean, the bones are dropping quite literally at the moment. There are so many teams rolling in here, Reese. For AV, Zuni's, and Mikey, at least they stay alive, survive just a little bit longer.
And this is what's going to happen when you are contested a draw spot fairly center to the map. The teams around you, they need Storm Surge. They know that there's a fight going to be going on here. not only can they hear it, because they can hear all these gunshots going off, let's be real, these teams know the drop spots, they know exactly what's going to happen on the map, and they're going to take advantage of that. If Scope's team, who's kind of landing in that center map area, if they are uncontested, they can loot quickly, they can get the materials they need, and then they can push into this fight and just try and third party. That's exactly what AV, Zunis, and Mikey did as well. They managed to get out of their drop spot, get into a good spot, pick up a single elimination, hopefully they got a good amount of Storm Surge tags from that, and get out. Because a team like AV and Zunis, if they don't fight for their Storm Surge because they have that double controller, it's harder to get kind of longer range shots. For these guys, it's really, really tough to get tagged. So a position and a kind of strategy like this, where they're going to push into a contested drop spot, get an elimination for that points and some tags, is really good. And look at the loot right now. Launchpad, you got 92 builds. The hard mat's looking good too. They're going to be able to get this slurp up too. But actually, this is Jamper, Threats, and Rise who's kind of peeking on in too. So many teams are rotating by here.
That's your boys right there. Jamper, Threat, and Rise now trying to sweep on in. And look, Threat's got the high ground. That's going to be a serious position right there. Great position for him. And something to consider, these sniper shots. Big sniper shot opener right there. Perfect. Another team off on the bridge is going to add a little bit of that additional pressure. And you can see the marker comes out. They even have the slurp truck to play for. The Parasite on head just means that he's going to have that limited amount of HP, some additional effects of higher or better speed movement and jumping mobility there. So we'll see if they end up going for the slurp truck nice and early here, or just opting to rotate on out. Threat's already fully based up above, so he's committed to recycling his material up top. And they have just so much control now of this outer edge. I mean, they're not going to have an issue at this moment with Surge. They're just trying to see if they can find anything extra. If they can, it's great. If not, doesn't really matter too much. It's not going to affect this team that much at the moment.
Yeah, and this hill's a really, really common Storm Surge position, and a lot of teams will vie for this early on. This is, remember, the Holy Hatchery team, so they're relatively close to the area. It's high up on. They can reharvest their metal here, so they've rotated in super early, beaten any team to get here. Threats has positioned himself up high, where obviously, remember, we've already seen Rise back on the slurp truck over to the west, so they've got a kind of split with many more angles of vision. So right here, with double sniper in their inventory, I do not see Threats' team with Jamper and Rise really struggling with Storm Surge at all, right? This has been a fantastic rotate. They've hit at least one body shot snipe too, so they're in a very, very good spot. But let's move over a little bit north over to Spike's team, who has not fought off spawn. They're kind of sitting in a very good spot right now, but they are not alone by any means in Pleasant Park.
They're not alone, but more importantly, the storm is also pulling very far east here, so it's going to be a long rotate for everyone on the map here. If you played onto this western side already, you know, most of these guys have traversed the map pretty far just to get to where they need to be. If you landed south, I mean, these are the worst zones you can ask for. But just looking at the mini-map for a moment there, there's only a single team dead center, and every other trio is basically outside of the zone. There aren't anyone on the northern portion or deep inside the zone. That's a true, what we like to call, dead side portion of the zone there. I mean, this is just going to be a very interesting, I guess, game overall, the way it's going to play out here.
I bet I could tell you who that team is. I bet that team is Creo, Clicks, and Bucky. I guarantee that they've rotated in, because obviously, remember, they are the steamy team. So having no one around you in the zone that pulls you means you're not going to be able to get any tags on anyone pretty much near you until you move all the way over to Orchard. So it's a pretty common drop spot to obviously land at. And if you want to have to grab some Storm Surge tags out of that drop spot, you're going to have to move further out if you're not contested. And that's exactly what I'm assuming they've done. We'll see if I can cyclically reach the kind of second zone positioning. But if I was them, that's definitely them. Potentially either Booga, Avery's team in this spot too. But as we move on closer to them, boxed up close, Scoped, Okus, and Blake. Now remember, these guys were third partying earlier when it came to that Boney fight, and they've already made their rotates up there, so they have their priorities in order. But look at the infantry. Like, where I need to check these guys' looting paths out.
Yeah, this drop spot must have played out really nicely for them. All of a sudden, Okus here has quite literally the best loadout in the game. Blake, opposite side of the spectrum, but he's got peppers, right? So we can weigh him into this as a very much viable drop spot, and they're happy with their surge. Look, they're opting to go as far as they need to, away from everyone else. It's going to cost them a little bit here, a little bit of punishment, but I mean, they have to assume there's no one here, right? Like, let's really think about it. If you want to weigh the options, if you land at this drop and you're uncontested, basically you're long gone because you have to be somewhere else. Scoped and them don't see anyone up top. There's extra loot here. Look at that. So it's going to be everything that they need to know. I wonder if in their brain they're thinking, was this an uncontested drop at this point now? truly, because they have to have gotten all the intel that they need here, seeing all this additional loot all around the field here.
I'm pretty sure they know. I'm pretty sure they know exactly what's being going on here. They know that Click's dropped here with his team, right? Bucky and Cree, we already said they've rotated out. I'm pretty sure once they saw that team solidify themselves up on the spire near here, they thought, right, this is going to be a free spot. And even if it's not, it's going to be full dead side. Blake can get up on height, right? He can set up high ground. He's the only keyboard and mouse player on this team, which is going to allow him, obviously, just to set up higher, get those high tags. They were already 500 above, but that is fine for this Storm Surge threshold. That is not fine for the thresholds after that. That's definitely not going to help. Any East in particular is renowned for having very, very high thresholds for Storm Surge because these players have so much experience playing those style of games. So they're setting themselves up in a super good position, and so is River's team right here, setting themselves up on the dish at this side, looking for as many tanks as possible. They've managed, because of this position, to get themselves 316 above with 10 more players to go down. I think they've solidified it for this round.
These are great tags they're putting out as well right now. These are clutch moments here. And again, this is just setting up for not only this zone, but like you mentioned, the next one, right? With 11 players having to go down right now. I mean, this is one of the steepest types of surge that we've seen active, I think, in quite some time. Game 1 is notorious for having this high level of surge threshold. I mean, it happens consistently, but ultimately, it has to be dealt with, right? Like, 11 players are going to fall, guys, no matter what. Those bolts that you're seeing coming out of the sky right now, the players can't see. They can hear, but they cannot see it. If you're below, you basically have to fight. If you're close to being just above, you still have to fight as well if you want to win into the next surge as well. So you can see for a team like Chubbs, Redux here, they're just trying to roll up, right? Take advantage of the chaos, see if they can take advantage of the teams that are under pressure right now and set themselves up even better for the future zones to come, because this is a game, this is a long battle here. This is just the beginning of the mid-game to come. Niddle's going to get punished there in the process, and now look, the aggression from Chubbs, Redux, and Twix, they turn face here and jump right back into Niddle, and that's what happens when you open those walls. Sniper shots can come in, big damage can come down.
Yo, Chubbs, Twix, and Redux are just being ultra aggressive, keying any team that they can see. Not even realistically for Storm Surge at this time. They do manage to pick up the finish onto Nittle, and that is now 2 eliminations that comes through. So they managed to wipe out the team that's here. I'm pretty sure that's the whole one, but no, actually no, they do not claim that roof. Chubbs managed to get the tag shot back onto him, and they managed to get good loot out of this, right? We see the kind of scuffed inventory in terms of shield, but no, this fight's not over, actually. I thought this was a wrap for them, but no, Casker is still in this one. The whole trio now starting to apply that pressure, trying to get in, and Casker trying to do anything that he can to stay in the game.
And look at that, they win that fight. They take him out. Casker goes down. He couldn't escape fast enough, and that's a full finish right there too. So more loot for them to work with, more, or I guess, upgrades now available for them. Surge, they're not going to have an issue with that leading into the next zone. And I think they were targeting these teams because they knew, hey, they probably need Surge. Let's just go ahead and take advantage of that. They have to be lit up, and honestly, they made the right decision. It was a risky call, but it ends up working out. And now look, back into passive play. You know, they just edge their way on in. They have all the extra materials here. Interesting philosophy of game style here, and a bit aggressive for an NA East team, and I think that type of playstyle is what's missing from these lobbies. Remember, Reverse 2K, Miro, and Day are champions. They're not in this game right now, right? That's the type of playstyle they enforce when they're in finals, when they play against the best of the best. Seeing other teams start to pick up on it and execute that well, those are the teams that I think are going to be the wild card factors and be the upsetting factors for some of the more veteran trios that don't expect it.
I absolutely agree. And what was actually interesting is that when I'm looking at the previous round, the round 3, their playstyle completely did not reflect that in the slightest. They had one of the lowest average eliminations of any team who's actually qualified. So realistically, we're seeing a team potentially who's just able to make plays when they need to. You know, they may not be that hyper aggressive team when it comes to every single moment, but right here, they clearly saw an opportunity at the edge storm when those players are being hit from Storm Surge tags. Then they saw the one knock, they managed to get that, and they capitalized on it. So potentially, we're seeing new up-and-coming smart players here that are also able to be aggressive when they need to, which is a definite force to be reckoned with.
It just opens up that question, right? Confidence breeds W's across the board here. I mean, it's one of the hidden ingredients, I think, to being a successful Fortnite player. This goes across everyone. You got to have the confidence when you initiate those battles, and, you know, for us, we see that loud and clear here, but Nut, Chucky, and Yamzo have problems of their own. Nut's going to eat a sniper shot there. That's going to be a little bit of a reset for them. It's going to cost them some very valuable heals, but luckily they have plenty inside the inventory. This is one of the issues I have with sniping on high ground here, is that he can be using, Chucky could be using his AR in this instance. He has so much AR there. It could be a virtual guaranteed tag, but instead he's going for these sniper shots. He's missing a few of them and not gaining anything for it in the process. Look at the launch pads coming out, Reese. Nice and early. Players giving up that high ground. They're coming off of the spire, off of the outside of the edges, and there's plenty of teams recycling. Tabs G still in the game. Teo and Pledge, if you're a fan of them, they're still up. Acorn Jack and Slacks look like they're alive off to the eastern and center portion there. Jumper Threat and Rise, your boys are still in this game. Plenty and plenty of skilled trio still in this, and we're just getting started as now I'd say the official end game is about to go underway.
This is where the stuff gets exciting, right? We're just starting to get that third zone to close. We're going to see where these positions are going to pop up. We're about to see where these more difficult next zones are coming through. All the players kind of get crushed together into this small area. This is where the fights have to happen if they're close. Fourth zone about to close at this moment. Ooh, Spike just about to go for the snipe headshot as well to keep him further above. I know, but I think maybe he got scared. He saw that parasite. He said, nah, I'm not having any of that. I'm keeping away from here, but he's completely getting sprayed from the side. At the same time, look, there's still 13 players that need to go down right now. There's still 158 above. So they're going to have to still get some form of tags out here, because that's definitely not going to be enough.
And it's a major sleeper trio. This trio had the most victory royales of any team in any region of round 3. Wow. So just an exceptional day yesterday for this squad right here. Spike, Leo, and Death pulling the most victory royales. This could be a very much underrated team we're watching. They're only 34 damage above the Surge, though, so I'm sure Spike is regretting not taking that sniper shot just before that, or at least not connecting with it when he did try to take the pop here. These are important times to put the pressure down. They have to do this. You just think about the lobby focus. You got to force the lobby to just battle with you at this point. Sometimes you have to force the issue here, because right now, being only 140 or so above the Surge, it's okay, but it's not perfect. Anything can still happen. Leo gets punished for trying to edge his way forward. And I mean, they have to roll out here, Reese. The zone is pulling straight south. This is as hard as it can get for any of these northern squads that decided to be a little bit more passive this time around.
It's a tough one, in particular for Leo's team as well, that we just saw, right? We're going to be really completely max distance 5th zone for them, which is almost one of the places where a lot of the teams make the biggest mistakes, but you can already see Eomzo, Not, and Chucky position themselves here earlier on. They got a little bit of that good RNG when it came to 4th and 5th zones in particular. They're now solidified themselves on high ground. I honestly think this is one of the best teams that we're going to see this season. Not Chucky Eomzo has been impressing me so much. Over the course of the last few seasons, Chucky and Not have for a long time now. I remember vividly watching them across the last 2. But Eomzo right now has been his season. This has been his come up. People are starting to put respect on his name. And now this is the time for them to do it as a trio. In a team event where I'm thinking this could be their qualification through to the finals. And look, their current positioning right now, up on high ground, launch pads, ammo, materials left remaining 2. This is looking good for them.
And it looks like we had a bit of a clash of the Titans in the feed there. Skittles onto Jack inside the elimination feed, ladies and gentlemen. That means there are struggles in paradise here. Take a look. Acorn up there, kind of in between the mix here, just underneath the layer of Chucky, Nut, and Eomzo's base here. So again, you have to be very careful. In the feed, Avery and Booga find Leo and Death, our most winning team from yesterday of any region as far as pulling in those victory royales. So big teams are falling, upsets are happening, and this is just game 1 of the FNCS qualifier. I mean, the qualifier number 1 to really jumpstart things here for the FNCS season. Competitive season always brings out the most exciting gameplay, right? We talk about the best teams, and things are just going to get better and better as the weeks go on, because there are so many teams that have yet to even pull through into the big stage right now. But take a look at the wide shot here. It just gives us a little bit of a perspective of everything that is going on. What I think is the most dangerous position to be in is Degen, Aegis, and Skittles right there, playing the second height-ish, running through potential enemy builds. Just take a look right there. Some of these walls are not theirs, Reese. So just playing with fire right now, trying to preserve material. But we know how that double-edged sword can be.
It's very typical of this team. They're always staying close to high ground, if not on that top position right now. They're going to wait until Zone goes back, hit the launch pad. Are they going to land on the height? This is a risky play, but yes, Aegis goes to the back of Storm, but the player on top is not noticed. That's a 95 white tag. So that's Chucky that gets picked up, but not still at the front of the zone. Actually still cranking it as a duo, but DJN has also been picked up now, so this play has been risky and it has not worked out for them so far. Aegis completely still managed to get that finish too right now, so it's a duo. They've not managed to get high ground from this, but another launch pad comes out, but they managed to miss it, Monster.
No. Oh my gosh, Aegis almost takes the fatal fall damage there, but he manages to save himself somehow, some way, and he finds skills here too. Okay, so they're still in this game. They're wounded, they're desperate, but they're back in it for Bugha on the other side. And Avery and Nasho, they're getting started here. Just getting started. 4 eliminations for them. 300 damage above the surge, holding players out on the outer edge. And they're at the spear points of the zone right now. So perfect and beautiful reads. This is how you play low ground, ladies and gentlemen. Take notes here because Avery and Bugha are back, paired up with Nosh. I mean, the firepower is just all inside the mix right here. It's looking good for them. But the refresher, Bugha needs a refresher. He's starting to run out of material. My pick down to the low ground. Bizzle and Cooper still alive as well. They have to be careful. This could be them under the focus point right now. And look, Clicks is going to fall there in the feed. KJ goes down to Avery, so Avery's going to find one as well. Trap is going to get taken out too. They need more mats though. Reese, they're starting to run out of fuel here.
They're starting to run out. This is the time where they're going to need those refreshed eliminations. They're on the perfect position for it. They're keeping ahead of Storm. So many players are going to be starting to drop down. You can see them start to looking for walls, looking for players. But this bridge that they're going back over is actually going to be so problematic because players are going to go underneath. They're trying to look up. They're trying to drop players down into their box to anything they can. And this is Bugha now down to the lowest materials. But no, he's actually managed to get the refresh from one of his teammates there, being up to 14 builds total. But not fully stacked yet, not ready to do anything, but still on high ground as a duo. Iomzo and Not have managed to go through the complete chaos of DJ and Aegis' skills, going for the launch pad for them, are still in a commanding position. But if it comes down to heal off between Avery, Nosh, Bugha, and them up on high ground, we know who has the numbers game, and it seems to be the low ground.
I mean, at first land, it looks A-okay, but on the low ground, it's getting active once again. Avery's going to find a couple more eliminations, and it's a full team wipe for Avery in the low ground. Bizzle and crew, though, trying to fight their way out from the outer edge here, and it is just chaos on every single layer. High ground, another fight's going to go down, and Nut actually gets overtaken against Iomzo, so Iomzo's the only player up. It was Jamper, Threat, and Rise there that went up for high ground, but on the low, more battles going down. Avery could not clutch up the fights here, but Bugha is here to back him up. There's the knock that he needs. There's the siphon, the two come in, and now he's got the HP advantage here in the end game. That's going to put them at 11 eliminations. Don't count them out, ladies and gentlemen. This is a ridiculous amount of points, and now an official top 3 finish as well as Iomzo finishes off Rise. So Iomzo on high ground manages to somehow clutch up. What is going down here? We might be looking at a 2v3 V1 situation, but no, scratch that. Now it's a 2-on-2 situation here. Bizzle and Coop. Iomzo goes down. Reese, who's gonna take this one home? I mean, both sides are starting to run low on material and everything, but no, there's the big trade. Coop is out. Bizzle's in the storm though. Heals are going off. The clock is still ticking. He's got 7 seconds. It might have been too early here for Nosh. Nosh has to do something big here, Reese.
He's got to do something big, but if he's got enough chug cannon splashes at the back, then he's nothing that Bizzle can do now. The zone is fully closed. But yes, Nosh is gonna pick up the victory round.
One game down. Don't get too crazy. Don't think the competition's over. Nosh, Bugha, Avery.
Yeah, definitely. Game number 2, though, is underway, guys, here for the week 1 qualifier of the FNCS. And I mean, that last game, that was exciting. That's everything that you wish for inside a Fortnite round. We got a little bit of everything. Super stacked surge, big clash, big engagements, and then, of course, just the proper endgame stretch in the final moments. I mean, it was really up to anyone to win it all out, but the meta loadouts take it all home. So we're gonna kick things off for Bugha, Nosh, and Avery, right? The players that obviously won the previous round. You get to see their drop spot, bit of a split drop, right, between Orchard, the satellite home up here, just outside or in between the cliffs there, off to the side. So very interesting position to be playing off of, but they are covering a lot of the land. This is a great way to get a pretty decent loadout.
It's a good way to get a decent loadout because purely, you got to think the amount of chests that they get supply crates from here too. But not only that, you got to think this season llamas are absolutely crazy good, in particular because you get those chug cannons from them. And you've got to think, you got to remember, the more land you cover, the more opportunity they're going to have one of those llamas in your drop spot.
Yeah.
So we did see them have those chug cannons last game. Now, whether that was from finding a llama or also just from picking up eliminations on low ground, because that's just going to happen for you, they're very, very likely to play that low and win it off, purely just based on their drop spot, right? You got to think that they have the heals coming out here, they're going to have that bigger opportunity to do it. Just look at the split that they have. Like, genuinely, look at the map and see how far apart these guys are. Hopefully, none of the teams around them, like Peterbot's team from Craggy, takes advantage of that and tries to use the Storm Surge strategy on them because they're so split.
I mean, this is the Degen, Agers, and Skittle drop, right? Like, this is their original drop spot. They would take this, they would split it nice and far. The one downside to this drop is landing too far north. If you're isolated, Steamy Stacks can decide to land on you. You always have to keep that little chip on your shoulder. Keep your eyes on the prize there, because ultimately you let your guard down and it's a drop that can get easily punished or players can get sniped out of. So taking over all this land does come with risk, guys. It's not just free loot by any means. You have to be very militant with the way you play these drop spots. For Coop on the other side, though, Coop just trying to get a move on right now. You can see his drop also sharing a fair chunk of land there, playing the Bizzle, Eclipse, and Coop drop here of the mountains, right? They're playing just outside the Lazy Lake, also surveying or canvassing a bunch of this land here. And again, it's working out pretty well right now. Coop's hoping to find, I'm assuming, a much better AR in Shotgun here, but even if he doesn't get it, this is still a very much well-rounded loadout for any competitive player.
Yeah, honestly, anything below purple, it's still not amazing, but like, it's not the biggest difference to move up. Yes, blue pump, blue AR is amazing, but like, that jump up to when you get purple is great. You know, gray, it's not the worst disadvantage just to have by themselves. But let's move over to Dirty Docks. We seem to have a nice little engagement going on down here, and this is one of the most difficult spots to fight in the map because it's so large. There's so many places to hide, so many places to cover that you can just so easily get pinched. But oh my god, right now he's moving completely to the side to try and hide out. But look, this pressure is coming in hard.
Yeah, definitely big pressure here. Has to be careful. OMG just on the move right now, builds and splash. Where are you guys? They're on a different layer right now, so everyone's pretty split up here. Yeah, look at this. They have a bit of a wide hold going on right now. Trap, Neon, and KJ looking for the angles, and I mean, they're probably gonna find them considering how widespread everyone is at the moment. Trap being on his sort of like his day Miro reverse 2K style play, where he's the one up in the front right now, but playing that dangerous role there. You have to be careful. And it doesn't look like Splash and crew are taking advantage of the fact that he's being so aggressive on the walls. So this might be a bit too passive for the trio.
Yeah, you know, honestly, a lot of the videos when you get to this round 4, it's not like they panic, but at the same time, like, they're nervous. Let's be real. This is a really big tournament for all of these players, trying to make sure that you get up. They do play different. Imagine this is a trio cash cup. I'm thinking infinite crank 90s. I'm seeing trick shots. They're going to jump in no scope, something like that. But, you know, in this kind of tournament, look, they're going to slow down. They're going to try and be super careful. And for a lot of teams, that's actually to your detriment because you lose that level of aggression that so many successful teams have. And if you don't have that with you, you just play passively. You have to try and box fight defensively. And it just doesn't work out too much. And look, this fight's dragged on so long. Look at the map in the bottom right. You see more teams from the contesting areas lurking in. They're on that hill. They're on the high ground. They're thinking we're going to go for Storm Surge tags on this. And Trap knows this. That's why he's sitting holding that right-hand peak. And he's definitely communicating this to his teammate right now, saying where these opponents are, where they're trying to spray at. And honestly, if I was Trap's team,